It's podcadzo.
Check. How are my plosives?
I think they're in control.
Oh, actually, they look like they are. Wow.
Yeah.
This ain't no amateur
Yeah,
operation.
yeah,
professional
we-
operation.
We've been doing this shit for a minute now.
Yeah.
Not that long.
Not that long. and the production quality is really degraded.
It's pretty much gotten worse. Yeah, I
We
noticed
used to attempt a lot more.
the last one looked like someone rubbed some mayo all over the
Yeah.
Are you
cameras.
talking about the brat one?
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking some artistic liberties with them, and also for some reason the iPod just focused on something else on your face, so it's blurry already. So yeah, I needed to add a layer over that to make it look intentional,
to make it look a little shittier,
but it wasn't
on purpose.
Yeah.
Who knows?
57, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but this is the most important one.
it is.
This is the
This
best
is the most
one.
people we've had on
This
one.
is our biggest sode yet.
Yeah,
The biggest
which is
thanks
great.
for that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Most people. It's tight down here.
Yeah, Julian, why don't you do the honor? Well, first,
right.
welcome to
Very intimate.
podcadzo.
Yes, welcome to the
It
podcast,
is
everybody. We've got a very special one today. We've got the best band in Fort Collins sitting with us, Aleister Cowboy. They have released their second EP this year, their second EP that came out this year. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a bit about like what brought y'all guys here, how Aleister Cowboy got started,
I drove here.
influences, things like that. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
I actually did too.
No way. What about you?
I parachuted
Flying
in.
carpet.
I saw that actually. It was pretty epic. So
It was crazy.
nice. Well, yeah, let's get into it. Do you have anything that you wanted to throw in? Anything I'm missing?
No. Well, first, just I know it's been a couple months. We wanted to have you guys on the pod earlier, closer to when the second EP came out. But I listened to it on the way over here. And
Chambers of Anguish.
Chambers
for
of
anyone who
Anguish.
doesn't know what it's
And
called.
congratulations again.
Thanks so
it's
much.
a great EP.
Yeah,
It was
you.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We felt real accomplished after putting that guy out.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
should. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
really, really good.
The first EP obviously was fucking awesome and like got a lot of people's attention. But like the thing I told Collin when Chambers of Anguish came out was just like the amount of like interpersonal and then just like ensemble growth from first release to second release was like super noticeable, like right off the rip. Was there anything like, okay, so first of all, Matty, Rhaina, Collin, that's the full squad. We got everybody here. When you guys were sitting down to like get started on the second EP, did you have any like tactile ideas of what exactly you wanted it to be, or was it more just like getting in the room, jamming stuff until you had ideas that you liked? Was there like a conscious decision to like try and push the idea forward in any sort of ways, or was it more just like jamming it out?
Things just kind of fell into place. We just there was never a period where we stopped writing and then started writing. We're always just continuously writing. And the way that this band has always written songs, generally, it's kind of changes somewhat. Like in each individual will like write a song and then demo it or whatever, and then bring it in, and then we all learn it and kind of add onto it. Like we tab each other. We like, I'll write a song, I'll tab it out, I'll record a demo, send it out, and then we'll all get in a room together. We practice every week, and we'll get together and kind of put it all together that
So
way.
wait, you actually write like the tablature to the parts writing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Makes it a lot easier for everybody else.
Yeah.
And the
Everybody else meaning Rhaina.
Rhaina, yeah. And what made Chambers different, and why I think it one of the reasons I thought I like it so much, is because we all had different songs on it. Like a lot of Repugnance was already written by me as getting the band started. It's just kind of like I just had a bunch of stuff ready to go for the most part, so we were kind of able to hit the ground running with my brilliance. And then I realized as I was saying that, I was like, oh god. And then with Chambers, it was like, oh, the like as soon as like Collin wrote Macerated and Rhaina wrote Psychic. Whatever the fuck, perverse psychic punishment, and
The alliteration one.
and then so yeah, it was really really nice to like just like, oh dude, we already have like all these songs for this one because everybody else has also been writing, so that was really sick.
Was there like any cutting along the way? Like, did you guys have to decide what songs were going to go on the EP and what songs maybe were going to wait around, or was it just like
those are the rest of our songs? Those were the rest of our songs.
Fuck yeah.
We were completely
Makes it
empty
easy.
after that.
Yeah.
Actually, Blessing was going to end up on the first EP, but we cut that.
And that song is really crazy to me because, like, out of all of the songs that you guys have released so far, it's like the one I think that's the most different from the rest. And it's also a super interesting way to, like, end the new EP because it kind of almost makes me wonder, like, oh, what's coming next? You know, because I'm kind of obsessive like that a little bit with groups that I like. So it was like kind of made me wonder, are you guys going to go more in that direction in the future, or was it kind of a song that was already just kind of kicking around?
That's what's so funny is it's like one of the, like, maybe the third oldest of all of our songs.
Yeah, that's why it was on the cutting floor originally for Relentless, because we just didn't think that it was like too as cohesive as the rest of the things, but it kind of just ended up being like the perfect closer for Chambers. And the new we got a handful of new tracks, and there's some melodic parts similar to like that conclusion of Blessing.
Yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
not sure if we guess we'll have to see.
I say melodic.
I don't have any plan. I don't currently sit down stoked trying to write another like 120 BPM like like track like that.
Sure.
But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it is cool, like, because again, not a lot of the time in the Aleister Cowboy universe are we like having like
universe.
a halftime sludgy, like
The
pretty
ACU,
open, somewhat
if you will.
melodic jam or riff, I guess I should call it. So
Inspired by a Pokemon battle theme.
okay, cool.
True story.
Do you want to get into
True
that?
story. There's not really much to get into. My boyfriend was playing Pokemon Sword and Shield, and there's one of the battle themes. I kept hearing it over and over, as you do if someone's playing Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which one it is, and I've tried to find it, and I cannot figure out which one it was. But one of them had an interval, had like the intervals. The key was totally different. The vibe was totally different. The BPM was way, way, way faster. But the intervals were essentially about the same. And I was like, that kind of is really hard. Like if you, I was like, if you slowed that down and you just had, if you put any intervals in whatever key or put those intervals in any key, I bet it would sound awesome. And I wrote that song in like no time. Just based
Nice.
around that.
That's sick. I remember I saw y'all play at the Coast, like the beginning of the year, or was that last year? But no matter what the case, you guys played that song towards the end of your set, and I was just like, holy shit, this is like a completely different like type of heavy vibe. So I fucking love that song. I think closing the EP with it was ballsy as hell, and I'm really glad it wound up on the EP. So
I was
Thanks
going to
so
ask
much.
about the sequencing, because I remember, Collin, you were jamming with us and gave us a sneak preview like probably a month or a couple weeks before the EP actually came out.
Yeah,
I think you were still
Podcadzo.
debating the sequencing there.
It's a tooth and nail fight. We fight to
Yeah.
the death over sequencing. No, we don't actually.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I think it was that what I showed ended up being the
Yeah.
order of how the EP was, but I think the only debate was whether we end it with Blessing or put it like somewhere like in the middle. I don't really remember that conversation a whole lot, but I'm super glad that we just
primarily
did
about
it.
Blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great way to end it. We were actually talking about it making it or not, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of on the chopping block. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but you kind of just said like we recorded it just because we had it, and we weren't sure if we were actually going to put it on the EP or not.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah,
That
of
is-
course.
Yeah.
We smoked a lot of weed that day, so
Oh, well, I didn't.
Colin was the sober driver that day. So
I actually
Um,
think about how I feel like I misrepresented myself last time on account of that. So I'm glad that
nah.
we're setting the record straight today, clearing up all the air.
So as far as sequencing for the EP went, was it kind of just automatic? Like, did you guys discuss it at all? Because it is a very like cohesive sequence on the EP, especially considering it's 4 songs. Like the way that it moves from song to song seems very deliberate.
It's something that we put we put a lot of effort and like way too much thought into that, but it's like usually when that happens in a band, that's bad news. That's usually bad. Like when a lot of different people have very strong opinions about the same thing. Usually, the band's over. But in this case, it worked out beautifully because it was just like, I don't remember when it happened, but I'm sure in one or two practices we were just like, how do you guys want to put it? Where do you want to put it? Or what do you think? And then, I think. Originally, I didn't want Macerated and Perverse to be next to each. If you really want to get into the weeds, I didn't want those two songs next to each other. But when I heard the tracks, I was like, "Oh no, this is totally fine."
Nice. So it kind of just happens somewhat organically, but then
Just
also
organic,
when you
yeah.
listen to it, it makes more sense, obviously. So another kind of question I wanted to ask about for this EP specifically was you tracked the bass parts for like all of it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How was that comparatively to the first EP where you had someone else tracking those parts?
I did those too.
Oh, you did those too?
Not all of them. I did like half of that record.
Oh shit.
too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the bass. I feel like the bass from EP1 to EP2 really there's
Yes.
like a huge amount
There
of
is.
growth in the performance and the production.
First for one, you can hear the bass guitar in the new EP, which is super sick.
It does help a lot.
It was just a different. We went for something that is, I think, the only thing that we consciously wanted to do differently. We were all stoked to just. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure that was like the only thing we went in and we were like, this I want to do differently. And I didn't dislike the bass on the last one. It's like hilariously over the top, saturated with gain, and it's like super. And for the mold intro, it's perfect. But it's like. It was just like, going into the new one, we were like, let's do clean bass. And I was a bass player in bands for this. This is the first time I played guitar in a band, so I'm very comfortable. I love playing bass.
Okay, hell
Putting
yeah.
bass on the record for me is so fun. 'Cause it's like, oh, cool, pressure's off. All my parts are done. Now I just get to sit around and lay it down the bass parts.
Maddie was was always
Colin got
mentioning.
dosed again.
He was mentioning the dying fetus bass tone as
That was
as
Trey.
like a good Oh,
That
that's
was
right.
Trey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that. Like far less distorted, less like low end, more like kind of mid feeling, like
Yeah.
real buttery.
That's what the
Which
EP
we didn't
comes across as.
Yeah, we kind of ended up. It didn't end up sounding as extreme in that direction as I think we were originally thinking it was going to. But I like that a lot more for the final product. When it comes to bass, and almost exclusively in this kind of music, I only feel this way really about death metal. But I love bass in death metal that is like felt and not necessarily heard.
Totally.
Unless it's like some crazy dying fetus thing or some band that's like Atheist or something where
The
it's
hammer
like
smash face
yeah,
part.
Yeah, totally. But generally, I like feeling it a lot, especially with like really saturated, like high guitars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's what's cool about it is that when the bass is sitting in that low mid a little bit more, like the guitars just cut through so much more, and like there's a lot more. It feels like back and forth guitar on the second one compared to the first one. I think just because there's more like headroom overall.
Yeah, we're not fighting with. I didn't mix it, so who knows what it was actually like. But nothing is fighting each other. There's no oversaturation of fizz.
Yeah, which I love it. I think as far as everything that's come out this year, it's like definitely the best sounding like heavy record that I've listened to this year. I think.
I was
Trey's
remarking on
Thank you
the
very
drum
much.
sound on the way over here, especially on the third track, like the really roomy gunshot snare sound.
Talk about that.
That fill at the beginning of Huffing was recorded solely with a mic in the bathroom of the basement
makes sense.
space that we were recording in. Trey just had this mic set up in the bathroom to just catch like some interesting frequencies, and he just played it isolated, and it sounded like really far away. And
Yeah, it's a great sound.
I thought it sounded pretty cool too.
And
It was
it's
a fun idea.
like or potentially risky, I guess, to make such a significant change to the drum sounds and still have like maintain cohesion on all the tracks, but even like that drastic change in the snare sounds, it like works really well.
Totally.
It seems intentional.
Thanks.
In the album,
Yeah,
so,
I
great
like
EP.
how it's real distant and far away, and then when the guitars come in, it's just like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which
And-
was not the original. That was not like when I wrote the demo. When I did the demo for that, it just started right away. And then I don't remember how or when you decided to start it with a fill, but then like we were starting it with the fill, and then doing that in the studio was like, oh, this is, and now everything is 100% beautiful.
it's just like from my point of view, it felt like doing the fill before going into that faster moment helped it kind of build that momentum.
Yeah.
And make that part hit a little harder.
Did you have that fill exactly what the fill is on the record before you went in, or did you?
I think I did it on the spot, honestly.
I thought, because I always thought it was like it was the same feel, but it was always a slightly different arrangement. And then I think after the record, like that's the fill.
and then
now.
that was the one that was just locked in. Yeah, it just felt great.
That's
That
how
little
it goes
double
with
bell
drums.
hit.
You'll
Yeah.
do something one time when you're recording, and you're like, well, I guess that's my part now
That's
forever.
the way now. Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to ask also, since we're talking about like the kind of recording and ideas, the songwriting for the second EP, I know that you guys work with, his name's Trey, right? Mm-hmm. And he is from 10 to the Chest, another fucking awesome band from Colorado, just absolutely insane motherfuckers.
I love them.
So how does working with
We
him in the
literally-
studio like shape your guys' songs at all? Does it help with your production? Does it kind of help having like another outside perspective, or is everything kind of just like set when you get to the studio? Like this is
this
what
is
we're
Trey's
doing.
outside perspective.
Pretty hands off guy then.
Shit's sick.
with a bowl of joints, and he's just sitting there like this hard.
Endless
that part's
dabs
heavy.
too.
Yeah.
So it's the right guy for the job then.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Most
we
mellow recording experience of my life, probably.
Nice. Okay. Hell yeah.
easily the first time. We were looking for. I don't know if you told the story on the podcast last time or not, but we were trying to figure out. We wanted someone to record it. Obviously, we wanted to put out. We wanted to record our first EP. We were ready, and Collin and I were just hanging out at my house, and we were like talking about like this person's from here and this person's from here, and we were kind of listening to different recordings. And I was like, oh, I think the guy from that Denver band, 10 to the Chest or Colorado Springs or whatever, I was like, I think he records all their stuff. And we put on Lambs to the Slaughter, and within like 7 seconds, we looked at each other and went, yes, this guy. I trust this guy.
Yeah. That song came out on my birthday.
Nice.
On January
Lambs to the
18th
Slaughter?
of that year. Yeah, I
Nice.
think that was
That's a good sign.
21 or 2
Yeah.
maybe. No, it had to have been 22.
Trey's honestly though, like Trey does have like huge. I mean, I would say that he has like not influence in the way that he's like writing shit or like telling us like what to play or whatever. But in the way of like, I don't know what we would sound like. I'm curious to know what we would sound like recorded by somebody else. But like after going to him, I'm like, this is what we sound like. This is what we sound like in my head.
He
Yeah.
He definitely has like some interesting like you were saying like outside perspective inputs though, and the ways that one part could be like, oh, try this here, and then we do a take, and then it just like clicks.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Or I'll be like, usually I play this part like this. And he goes, yeah? And I'm like, no, I don't actually.
His drum sound is incredible. Like
Yeah.
on the first record, it's good, like really good. But on the second, it's like, holy fuck, this is like obviously studio quality. You guys recorded it in the studio, but it sticks out as like not only being super professionally put together, but also just like having a very strong personality of its own. Like your playing comes through a lot more on this record, I feel like. Do you think that has to do with just like your growth as a drummer over the last year, or like him helping you from a production standpoint, or?
It's both. Like his skills and ours have just like, it felt like a lot more honed the second time around, like he knew what he was getting into, we knew a little more what we were getting into, and it just like worked out a lot more smoothly. Like we were listening to just like the raw drum tracks after that first day, and I was like,
second EP
of the second EP,
Yeah.
and I felt pretty accomplished compared to the first one because the raw takes like sounded decent, which is
that
kind
was-
of crazy.
That was the biggest difference, I feel like, is like we were listening to the raw tracks on the first EP, and we were like,
I was like, was that me?
yeah.
That's what drums sound like. Oh shit.
And this time we went home listening to the raw, like he just gave us like the unmixed, just like raw tracks, and we were like bumping it, and we were like, this is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know. I mean, we're with the Foreign Words record. That's kind of where we're at, is like listening to the raw files, and everything sounds better than the mixed files from our last record. And we're like, all right, well, that's a good.
I'm so
That's a good
stoked.
benchmark at
I'm
least.
so stoked to hear it, dude.
Me too. We'll see if that ever happens. So I kind of wanted to back up slightly, and we've kind of like picked Collin apart now for like his musical past and what got him to where he is. I kind of want to do the same thing for you two as well. I know you've been in a bunch of bands. You're currently in other bands as well. So I kind of wanted to see like what brought you all into obviously Aleister Cowboy, but then apart from that, just playing heavy music and wanting to like be in such a kind of like, I don't want to say cutthroat scene, but just a very particular scene
the
where
very
people
cutthroat scene of Fort Collins death metal.
people definitely want very specific things like from their heavy music. So
That's true.
Whoever
Rhaina,
wants
you
to go first.
You don't have to
Oh
talk to me.
gosh, okay. Yeah, I don't generally. I've played guitar since I was 13. My taste in music's been all over the place. I guess I started liking Queens of the Stone Age way early on.
Friends of the show.
Yeah, spiritual friends of the pod. Get well soon, Josh.
So yeah, Josh Homme's influence on me has been like very persistent throughout my entire guitar career. And so I actually met Matty through bringing him on to my other band, Gone Full Heathen, and it's just really weird, heavy progressive music. And then he recruited me for Aleister Cowboy. He's like, yo, you want to do some death metal? And I was like, yeah.
So before, obviously, Gone Full Heathen is heavy as fuck, so I don't want to take away from that. But like before Gone Full Heathen and Aleister Cowboy, was there like an interest in playing heavy music, or was it something that you just were like, oh fuck it, I'll try it?
I think I slowly started getting into heavier and heavier stuff, and then that started translating to my playing quite a bit.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, yeah. Not to like totally sidebar this, but Gone Full Heathen is another group from Fort Collins that just absolutely fucking rips. As far as like, I think personified like heavy guitar playing, like everyone kind of sounds the same except for like a few people, and you're one of those few people that like manages to have like a very distinct personified like songwriting style. So I think obviously that helps out this band, and I think that's also why Gone Full Heathen fucking rocks as hard as they do too. So
What's it like writing for like two different groups like that, where they're, you know, obviously each has its unique sound, but there could be like crossover in riffage potentially? How does that work?
I'm like, dumb it down, Rhaina.
we're not very smart, especially him.
See, I don't think that happened at all with Perverse,
No, it
because that's the one I wrote
Yeah.
for Chambers of Anguish, and I think that was a really nice marriage between what I usually write for Heathen and what I thought the vision for Aleister Cowboy was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
So you don't like sit down and like, all right, I'm going to dedicate time to writing for Aleister now, or dedicate time to writing for Gone Full Heathen. You just kind of play and like decide where a riff might fit in better. Is that?
So I've actually had riffs that I'm like, okay, this is for Heathen, and then it ends up, oh, actually, I'm gonna pitch it to Collin and Matt, and then the reverse has happened. So I find myself very ADHD in my writing, and a lot of my songs write themselves, and so I sort of determine after the fact, like, which one would be a better fit for which band, and then I'll pitch it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. I had
Nice.
trouble enough writing for one thing. So.
And that's what's nice about being in a band with 3 people who can write is that like when any of us write something, it's never done until we all like are in the room and we're like, oh, what if you like chugged this section, or what if you tremolo picked this section, and that's kind of how the songs come together.
Yeah,
It's very collaborative.
I think that
definitely.
goes to show in like the attention to detail in the songs, because there's not a moment where it feels like you made a choice just for the fuck of it. Like everything does feel incredibly like planned out. So, all right, your turn. Where are you from? What's your musical story?
How long you got?
Yeah. So, no, I'll time myself. I won't go too long. I like music. I like huge and over the top music. It doesn't matter. Like generally, like I like all kinds of stuff. I'm really obsessive just about music in general. But at the end of the day, what I noticed is that I like extremes. So, like whether it's metal, or it's like I'm really into death metal and yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, I like stuff that just like kicks you really hard and is unbelievably like in your guts catchy. And also like really bright and over the top. So that's why when it comes to death metal, like a lot of my favorite stuff, me and Collin always talk about zany riffs, or like riffs that make you giggle. It's like that's what I love the most. Like we'll be listening to a track and we'll hear a riff and just start giggling like kids because we're like, that riff is so silly. I love that kind of stuff. But like but I also like one of my favorite bands of all time is Oingo Boingo. And I'm really like right now essentially for the past 2 months I've listened to nothing but the last from the debut Last Dinner Party record. That's like all I've been listening to. Like I'm really into girl like pop. I'm really into Lady Gaga and Kesha and all. Like I just like because here's the thing. I was explaining this to someone not long ago and they were confused that I am such a slut for pop music and I play in a like gross death metal band. Is that to me? A band like Exhumed or Sanguisugabog is as over the top and extreme as Lady Gaga dancing on a Trans Am on fire in the rain, which she does in that music video for Marry the Night. So it's like that's the same to me. Like it's still like unbelievably over the top and like knowingly tongue in cheek and over the top, but also like fucking glamorous and you want to be that so bad kind of thing. So yeah, that's I guess where like you know there's also an unbelievable amount of mall emo in there. I'm 30, so I was the target demographic for mall emo. Like we were talking about this the other day too. Like Black Parade came out when I was in 6th grade. Like that record was made for me. Like so I'm like really into that too.
Path was carved for you.
Yeah. But you could boil it down to just like really bright, colorful, catchy as hell, hooky, in your face, over the top shit.
Hell yeah. And what kind of bands have you been in leading up to Aleister Cowboy?
Most experience I've been in a band up to this point, I was in on the records, we were like an indie surf band, and live we were like a surf punk, pop punk band. It was like a weird marriage of like fiddler and Pet Sounds. Is like our singer. Those were like the 2 bands that our principal songwriter was obsessed with the most. And like Beach Fossils and shit like that. So like the records kind of sound like that and they're real vibey and surfy, but like live, we were really loud. And like people were like, we would upset people sometimes because they would like book us and then we'd show up and it's just like blisteringly loud and like way faster and like really fucking so yeah, I was in that band for 3 years. That's why I live here today. We went on tour a long time ago in like 2017 and I played Surfside and we were friends with Zach and Connor from Copperteeth. Because they used to be in a pop punk band that the members of my old band used to play in from the before times. And so we stayed with Zach and we had a day off in Fort Collins, and I was like, oh my God, I love it here. I want to move here one day. And then I did eventually move here.
Where were you living before? Where you
Phoenix.
from? Phoenix? Oh, cool. That's where you're from.
No,
originally?
I lived in Ohio. I lived in the backwoods of Ohio until I was 15, and then I moved out here, or I moved out to Phoenix, which was I moved from a town with 4,000 people in it to a city where my school was like half that. So it was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, a little bit of shell shock.
It was pretty crazy. So yeah, that's where I come from.
Nice. Hell yeah. So all that leading to Aleister Cowboy.
And country. I'm really into country.
Yeah. Okay.
Really into
Oh,
country. What kind of
interesting. I don't
country?
think I knew that.
Yeah, you can every once in a while you could hear it in a riff.
Okay.
It's rare. It's rare, but Viscera is one of those riffs. We always joke about how like Viscera is like a kind of like goofy ass riff. Yeah, and I'm really into. I mean, the obvious ones: Sturgill Simpson, Tyler Childers, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also really into like. I don't know, man. Fucking Alan Jackson and like all kinds of just like I really like '90s. Twangy ass like telly riffing country music and like folk music and bluegrass and that kind of thing. So,
Okay. Cool.
I'm also into country myself. It's because I lived in Nashville for a while.
Yeah.
And really developed
growing up
a
in
love
Ohio,
for
I
it there.
hated it.
Yeah.
And my grandma would like we'd be driving and my grandma would be like tapping her leg and singing the worst song I've ever heard in my life. And now I'm like, that song fucks, dude. Like, that song is so good.
I never think of Ohio as like a place where people listen to country music. I
Yeah.
associate Ohio with like a Kid Rock or like a, you
Totally.
know, like
That crossover is
a
huge.
Nickelback or,
Yeah.
or a Creed,
Totally.
mayhaps.
It is. It's because Ohio is in this really weird pocket of the Midwest where it's like, specifically where I lived, it's a lot of people, like both sides of my family are from Appalachia, and the majority of the people who grew up there have a similar story. So it's like, Ohio isn't necessarily like, you know, the heart of Appalachia or anything like that. It's like the shit runoff from Appalachia. Or it's like, oh yeah, my grandparents died in the coal mines, so we moved like 3 hours this way. That's what a lot of Ohio is, except for of course like Cincinnati and Cleveland and stuff like that, where it's a little bit different. But like I said, I lived in a very small town in an industrial, like, you know, part of the state.
Couple Buck Cherry fans in there for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, dude, the ICP fandoms.
Oh,
where I'm
man.
from,
Shit.
I knew many a juggalo. I'll tell you what, I knew many a juggalo, and they all had the same terrible mustache, kind of like the one that I have right now. It was like this is all they could grow.
Like prepubescent.
Yeah, I'm outing myself because I'm the same way. It's just in the water out there, dude. It's rough.
Some
In
stuff
the
to
Faygo.
grow.
You can't shake your roots.
Yeah, you can, dude. It's rough.
All right. Well, shit. I kind of wanted to, I guess, turn now to the origin of Aleister Cowboy as a group and kind of just ask what got you all together and why you all started playing music as Aleister Cowboy, and then obviously why you guys are still here, because a lot of bands get together, put out an EP, and then dissolve into the ether. I've done that multiple times myself. So, yeah.
Aleister Cowboy did that actually before it started like 4 times. So yeah, that was that band.
So yeah, what got you all together in the same room playing
I
music?
just told a bunch of stories, so you can tell some of this one.
Matty and I met through our partners at the time, and we kind of just both discovered that we were into heavy music, and we ended up both going to this Gatecreeper 200 Stab Wounds show like a couple years ago, and then I think we were just talking. Matty had he's like, yo, I have like a handful of tracks written for an EP for a death metal band. We should see what happens. He was looking for some players at the time, and I volunteered to do some drums for that, and we just started jamming shortly after that, and it just felt like super, super natural. Like the songs came together right away, and then the next logical step was to get like the best guitar player in Fort Collins. And that worked out super smoothly once Rhaina joined the fold, because Matty was in Gone Full Heathen at the time, so it was real easy snagging you.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I told that was abridged. I'm proud of myself.
That's why I gave it to you.
You got 3 yappers, two and a half yappers.
2.5 yappers.
Yeah, and that's why I let you tell it. That's why I'm not like, yeah, so like this person that you definitely know was almost in the band. This other person that you definitely know was almost in the band. Yeah, there was a lot of like cold feet and like it not happening.
Yeah.
And like communication that never went anywhere, or like they ghosted or I ghosted, and then we like talked about it later and we were like, that's crazy that almost happened, and then it did it, you know. And then and then I was like, my boyfriend was like, hey, do you want to go to a show? You know, Colin's partner is bringing their partner named Collin, and I was like, okay, yeah, I think I remember meeting Collin briefly somewhere at one point, and then we just didn't stop talking for the entire show. And it wasn't just, I like that you said we both like heavy music. It's actually way more specific than that. We were both obsessed with the exact same underground death metal label.
Yeah.
And it was that specific brand of death metal that I was writing, and that what I found out that Collin was also obsessed with.
Yeah, like
And I was
2021 to 2022 was like the year of maggot stomp bands, like absolutely popping off, like between like Sanguisugabog and 200 Stab Wounds and
all the other Body Box,
Sarcophagus, Body Box, just
so
like
many.
grimy, gross, but Nuclear Remains.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah,
Arizona Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like right place, right time for multiple reasons, because y'all met each other just circumstantially, and then there also happened to be like a bunch of really inspiring shit coming out at that time as well.
Totally.
I remember like when we first met, I knew you liked heavy music, but I definitely thought it was more of like a punk influence, like earlier punk, and then like we also kind of early on bonded over like underground rap to a certain extent.
Totally.
So it definitely like surprised me when I learned that you liked heavy shit. And when I say heavy shit, I mean like you like the maggot stomp type shit. And
that's
they're
not
just
even remotely the heaviest shit.
No, definitely.
Collin listens like. I thought that I was really into heavy music. I've written a couple heavy songs in my time that I feel like are pretty punchy. Every once in a while, we'll be in the car and Collin will put something on, and I'll feel like an old man and be like, "This is just noise. This is too much. This is just noise. Like, what are you doing, like, child?" And like Collin listens to some shit where I'm just like, I was saying the other day, I was like. I'm so happy that this exists, but I do not want to listen to it.
Yeah, some like sulfuric cautery septage type shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit.
It is cool too, because like I definitely wouldn't like call you guys a pop band by any means or anything like that, but it is interesting. Like I can definitely see where like your drive for wanting catchy, really hooky shit meets his want for
a pop sensibility,
just
sludge and just disgusting. Absolutely.
But which is funny because Collin wrote "Macerated," which is like one of the catchier songs for sure that we have.
That little tremolo riff is pretty catchy.
Yeah. I think we all have our own ethos of like writing music. My ethos has never changed, which is just like make the heaviest song I can or make the catchiest song I can without compromising heaviness. Like if one of those two things starts to cross over, then we have a problem. But that since day one, the first song I wrote was Viscera, and like, which was a joke song at the time. I was like, I want to write the dumbest riff I possibly can. I was like, let's see how, because I was listening to all these what do they call it? Like the binary code, like kind of riffs.
Viscera is a binary riff. 1-0, baby. Yeah.
And I was like, I was like, it's just confidence. That's the only way that they sell this. Like, it's so stupid. So I tried to write one, and then that ended up being that song. But yeah, even from back then, it's always like, I want to make shit that like just is super fucking catchy, but like those two things can't overlap. Like it can't be too much one or the other. It can't just be a straight up like. Every once in a while, I write a riff and I'll be like, "That's like too Amon Amarth," or like that's too like power metal, or that's too like that is just like a rock song. Like you know what I mean? Every once in a while, it'll happen, and or a new metal song. That's definitely been one. That's definitely happened.
Can't have that.
I keep my ears out for those ones.
Yeah, Collins. Yeah, has to like calls me into the pokey anytime I show up with a fucking.
if you can do that to it,
dude, you can do that to like most of our songs.
Yeah,
there is one that we're referencing that I'm still really salty about that Collin vetoed, and it's like the best thing I've ever written. I'll send it to you guys. I'll
so
send it
subjective.
to you.
Send it our way.
That's
just like
that
your
track's
opinion,
definitely
man.
better than huffing. Totally, man.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm gonna like, go behind your back and I'm gonna send it to Trey and be like, "What do you think of this?"
It's heavy.
Yeah, Trey's like, "This is incredible." I'm gonna be like, "All right, so I'm gonna come over and we're gonna record this. We're not gonna talk to Collin about it, and we're gonna just have Collin record a bunch of ad libs, and we'll just make those
We'll
the
just
lyrics."
stitch them together.
Nah, I'm just kidding. We've actually like torn that song up and like put it into like we've like ripped that song up and put various riffs from that into some of the new shit
cut and
that we're
paste,
working
yeah.
on.
Oh, okay.
We like
Nice.
always have, like Matty said earlier, like we're always like have a guitar in our hands, just like when we're at home, us three. So like, there's always riffs to be
The
Frankenstein
writing
together.
like, never stops, really.
Yeah,
Definitely.
there's always riffs to be.
Nice. So then you guys are writing for a new release at some point in the future.
Oh yeah,
Any spoilers that you can give now?
it's the
What's
best
the
shit
direction?
we've ever written.
Okay, cool.
Take your expectations and put them way up.
Okay.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
That's a high bar.
Every band ever says that.
But that's the goal, right? Every time
But
it should
this,
be better than
we
the last.
mean it.
Yeah, no. This time we're not fucking around.
Big things are coming.
Stay tuned, everyone.
We have 2 songs that are pretty much done, and I have a bunch of songs that haven't been finished. My writing process is painful, dude. Like I sit down and I will just like I'll have like 2 minutes of a song, and I will sit down and work on it every single day. And sometimes for months, nothing changes. Sometimes for months, I make literally no progress. And then one day, all of it will come together. And so that's where we have 2 songs that are done, one that I wrote, one that Rhaina wrote, and then I have stuff on my computer that I just like death stare at every day, and I'm just like, why won't you work? What's missing? I'm just like Jack Skellington. I'm just like running around the fucking like the lab just trying to figure out like what's going on. But
All right. So there's definitely a lot in the works then. A lot of potential ideas. It
a lot of
sounds like.
potential.
So
I'm just trying to like inflate like just like inflate the expectations as much as possible, just
So
as
we can let
as
everybody
bit.
down when
just
it
as
comes
a
out.
bit. Like make impossible expectations. Like we're about like this new shit, dude. Like,
That's my favorite thing about art in general.
yeah. Is what
In the history books, people will say Sergeant Pepper's.
yeah,
Aleister Cowboy.
Yeah, totally.
it'll be Jesus, the Beatles, Cadzo, House Cowboy.
Yeah.
All right. Word.
Again, firmly Cadzo above Jesus and the Beatles.
and Aleister Cowboy.
Yeah.
yeah.
No. To not to go back too far, but I did want to ask when you were talking about your guys' backgrounds, a lot of people who write heavy music and your music, I think a lot of people could definitely say is pretty technical. Do you have like formal music theory training? Were you guys band kids growing up, or is it all self-taught?
I didn't realize that our music was technical until people started. Well, I didn't realize that our music was technical until I started teaching it. to like members or whatever. Like
oh,
that.
It's actually pretty
Like,
complicated.
yeah, but it wasn't like that. It was like, God damn it, dude, really? Like, fuck, I thought this was like super, like not, and I'm not saying that in a way of like, oh, this is, I'm so good. It's like, it doesn't seem technical to me because I don't do, I guess I think of technical metal as like wheedlies. Like, I don't have a lot of like wheedly riffs. But you know, I took drum lessons. That's my only technical. I was in band, but I was in pit, and because I refused to go to band camp. So I got stuck on triangle or whatever bullshit.
Trying the fish.
I was like on like marimba
Love the fish.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great one.
Or even the frog, perhaps.
Oh,
to
I
have
got
a
a couple
different
frogs.
timbre.
They
in
might
there.
have. They might make an appearance on the next.
I can
release.
rock a tambourine like you read about, bro. I can rock a tambourine. But yeah, no, just percussion lessons is all I've ever really done.
How about you, Rhaina?
I took guitar lessons for about 5 years. And then I threw most of what I was taught out the window, and I started writing better songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you stop like sweating theory too much and sort of use it as more of a framework to more effectively break the rules, you'll write cooler shit.
Beautiful.
Especially
said.
in death metal when so much of it is dissonant. Like,
Exactly.
You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
I took guitar lessons for a while, but I never wanted to learn any theory stuff. I just wanted to learn how to play songs that I liked.
I was the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because boring.
It's boring.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I got so did they like weave those two things together for you?
They tried their hardest, and I tried my hardest to oppose that. But yeah, I've been playing guitar for probably like 10-ish years, but my best friend at the time had drums, and I just thought they were the coolest thing ever, because loud, and you hit them and they're loud, and it feels good to hit them.
Totally.
So then I just like slowly started playing the drums,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because Aleister was the first band you played drums in, right?
And I know-
Aleister was my first band.
Yeah, band. Yeah, that's right. We
We
talked
kind
about
of
that.
like mentioned this briefly last time also, but like you went from like I just play drums for fun to like, okay, now I'm a drummer in a band.
I made you, Collin. No, I'm just kidding.
That is kind of true
It was
though.
Before you
definitely
met
one of
me, you
those,
were
there
hating.
was like an oh shit moment where he was like, I'm not a drummer. I'm just playing drums in this band now all of a sudden. And like,
Not anymore.
it must have been, yeah, now he's a bona
Firmly
fide
a
fucking
drummer.
drummer.
Legit.
What was that transition like? What did it like get your ass
was
into
incredible
gear
to watch.
or was
Recording Relentless
Yeah.
and listening to the raw tracks and being like, oh, yeah, I'm not as good as I thought I was. So that was like the real realization for me. It's like, yeah, this was like just kind of like a silly fun thing for me to do. Yeah, I'll play the drums. But then kind of the more we started playing shows and the more we just started writing music, it like that's what really gave me the drive to practice more consciously. Because I've always just like playing drums to like no effects songs or like something fun that you can just like, you know, have a good time with. But then until like Cowboy, it felt like that's when I really started, yeah, like I said, practicing consciously to get better at what I wanted to do within the confines of this band. And
Yeah.
Watching that has
Outside.
been my favorite part of being. Is one of my favorite parts of being in the band. Was seeing that, like watching that and like being able to feel it evolve and to be able to like feel, feel you becoming more like confident and locked in and like. That was one of my favorite. That's been one of my favorite parts.
Thanks.
Of the bands, but like now it's gonna slow. Right, because you're like you've
I've
gotten so good
plateau.
now.
I'm over the hill. Yeah.
I think as a listener,
Diminishing
like
returns.
just going from EP1 to EP2 was like that exact feeling of like on EP1 it was like you were playing parts that I think you thought would fit the song better, and then EP2 is like you got a lot of confidence built and you're like, now I'm gonna play shit that I like actually want to play. Like there's a lot more like chances taken from like a performance standpoint on the drums for the second EP, and the first EP was already fucking amazing. Like I remember from when you told me you're playing drums in a band to then when the first single came out it was like, oh shit, like he actually knows what the fuck he's doing, and like it was only over a period of a couple months. So like it's just been from the outside too, like astounding to watch and listen to.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from such a technical drummer.
Hardly. I think when it comes to talking about like technicality with drums, it's such a wide field of what can be defined as technical. I think what you do is like twice as technical as like the type of shit that we play in our band, or like, you know, even Foreign Words, it's not like a technical band, it's like a soup band where everything's supposed to sound like fucking Jello basically. But you know,
one of my favorite moments was like, cause like I'm not an incredible drummer, but I was better at one time. I haven't played drums in a long time, but like I've recorded drums on a record before, and like I'm confident as a drummer. And there was a time I'll never forget. I don't remember exactly what the context was, but Collin, like I feel like Collin and I's drumming ability was like somewhere around the same when the band started, and then one time I remember saying, I couldn't play that. And Collin was like, really? And I don't remember the context, but I remember you like looking like, really? And like just out of nowhere, like you just started like, we just showed up at practice one day and you were just like a freak beast. Like it just like
it did happen
started
super
juicing.
quickly.
Well, and the vocals too. I mean, like that was an accident, kind of. Like that was a total. Collin was supposed to fill in.
It was thrust upon me.
Yeah.
And now I'm thrusting back into it right back.
Thrusting your little heart out.
When Repugnance, like when we were in the studio for Repugnance, Collin was not going to be doing vocals. Like it literally, like the week after we recorded the record, Collin just ended up doing vocals instead.
Yeah, we ended up recording the vocals at Rhaina's house like a week after, and then just sending them back to Trey because that was just the situation that we were in, and I think they sounded kind of cool. And it stuck, and
Trey was like,
stuck,
Trey said, "Is this Collin?"
That was exactly the same thought I had too when I listened to Stealing Teeth the first time. I was like, damn, this is fucking Collin. Like,
I couldn't believe it when I first met you. I was like, I listened to Aleister before we had you on the pod. That was the first time I met you.
Yeah.
And won't lie, I was like slightly intimidated or nervous to meet the guy behind the vocals. I was like, this guy's probably
walk in and be like, "Yeah, what?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?"
so
And then Collin walks in, he's like the sweetest guy
Yeah.
ever. And I'm like, oh my god. Yeah.
hypothetically speaking, like tomorrow, one of the best, coolest, like vocalists lands in Fort Collins
Yes.
and is looking
No, I'm
for
just
a
kidding.
project. Are you relinquishing vocal duties now, or is this something you're going to hold on to?
For my own selfish needs, I'm hanging on
You
to
have
it.
to hang on.
Yeah.
I
We love
love.
it.
There's so many drummer vocalists who I look up to, like Colorado's own Eli Wendler from Spectral Voice is a massive inspiration for me. I think he's incredible. Dave Bland from Jarhead Fertilizer is probably the best I've ever observed doing it, and that's a huge inspiration for me. Autopsy Guy, of course, I don't know his name. Phil Collins.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool. Like, not a lot of, I mean, even some just vocalists that stand at the front of the stage have trouble getting their energy actually through into the crowd. But I feel like your energy from behind the drum set all the way, like no matter where I am in the venue. So that shit's fucking crazy. I remember the first time I saw you guys, I was like genuinely just taken aback by the amount of energy you were able to take from the back of the stage and throw all the way to like the back of the venue. So
Thank you so much.
super unique.
That was probably the band's biggest concern with me taking the vocal role as well, was like in more extreme music, it's have like
Someone stomping around.
if there's
at the
not
front.
if there's not like singy parts or like parts that like people are grasping onto in like a traditional way, what you grasp onto would be like a front person's energy, you know? So that was kind of our biggest concern, but hearing that from you makes me feel pretty good.
I mean, you guys probably feel it when you play shows too. Like, there's definitely never like a lack of energy in the fucking room when you guys are playing.
Yeah, and I think we all also just do our best to like I mean, when and then that's the other thing too is like, Collin is the lead vocalist, but at the same time, one of the things that's evolved with our sound over the last 6 months or so has been me doing us layering more vocals live, which is another big thing that helps a lot. Like, I could do nothing. And everything that you said about Collin would be absolutely true. Like, it doesn't, like, it's like the energy is incredible regardless. So this isn't like to take away from their stunning achievements, but like it is definitely like I do everything that I can as well when I'm up there to just like headbang as much as possible and like just get in it as much as possible and layer vocals as much as possible and I like being loud, you know.
Yeah.
So and like that was the thing where when the band first started, Collin was like, I don't really feel like a front I don't want to like be like a front person, and I'm like, I'll love to do that for you if you want. Like I'll stay up there and do as much.
I don't like the hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Type shit as much. I'm more.
I don't either. I like the hey yeah. See, I don't really
left
like
side, right side.
And I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's death metal has kind of like changed how I look at that in certain ways, where in death metal it's like, oh, you can just insult the audience and they fucking love it. Mm-hmm. Like I've literally like never had a better response on stage in my life than the first time that I called the audience idiots. I've never seen a more, and I was like, oh,
true.
Dude, this is so easy. Yeah, like I'm just gonna roast the crowd though. Like when we played in Boise, I think it was, I was like, you guys smell fucking awful. Or no, I was in Denver. That was in Denver. I was like, you guys smell fucking awful. And then as I was like, someone was leaving the crowd, someone who like didn't say anything to me like that night, didn't buy any merch or anything like that, like walked by me and was like, yo, when you said we smell like shit, I fucking felt that shit, dude. Thank you. And I was like, this is the best genre of music of all time.
That's amazing.
We're simple creatures.
Speaking of performances, how was the tour? It seemed like it was great.
It was such a blast. It was over in a blink of an eye, though. I'm so ready to do it all again.
I know. That's all I've been thinking about is like, who do we hit up right now to like get back?
Yeah. It was a incredible milestone for the band and for myself as well. It's just like first band, first tour.
Yeah,
that's
first tour.
pretty unforgettable.
Yeah.
I felt like I had kind of lived my entire life up to this moment.
The percentage of people that get to actually tour with their first band has got to be like single digits. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I'm on my like 10th band now and still have never been on a tour.
Just make it happen, brother.
Oh, maybe now.
Send some emails.
Unemployed
send
and
some DMs.
unafraid.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
get after it.
Get after it.
We'll do one.
Now is the time.
We'll do one.
Hell yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to ask too, like, obviously we touched on some influences earlier, but I was wondering if there was any like group/individual like musical influences that y'all had when you were going into the recording of the second one, / just like in general, any groups that you're listening to these days where you're like, fuck yeah, like that's what I want to be doing more of. Take your time too, because it's a very loaded question.
Is one of the most underrated death metal bands. I've been spinning the first Anatomia record like crazy, and it's like a little slower than a lot of our stuff, but their riffs have been giving me a lot of inspiration lately as far as just like trudgy, stuck in the mud kind of like dun, dun, like it's just really cool. It's doom death. But like I said, like if you took that and you just gave it like 20 more BPM, that's been my writing, one of my writing inspirations. It happens all the time. I'll just be listening to music and be like, oh, I want to write. So, you know what I mean? But that's the band that when I immediately, like, if I'm sitting at my desk and I need a pick-me-up and I need something to make me, I need to feel worth something, I'll like throw on an Anatomia and be like, okay, how do they arrive at that?
Yeah.
So that's been mine.
Okay, nice.
I think for the guitar solo for Macerated in Sewage, Converge was a huge inspiration for that guitar solo. Yeah.
Nice. I love Converge.
Those jagged,
Angular
riffs.
riffs.
I love saying angular riffs.
Absolutely unhinged, but still melodic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Trying to think of what I was listening
Oh,
to
yeah,
a lot
sure.
at the time.
Oh yeah, I forgot we were talking about chambers.
Or whatever. I mean,
I'll just go with now because it's a lot more present in my mind. There's a handful of records that have come out this year. The Hyperdontia record is absolutely incredible.
Listen to that on the road.
Yeah, Sparagmos by Spectral Voice is absolutely incredible. Not so much like I'm not inspired by the riffing as much to use for Cowboy, but like drumming stuff for sure, especially in like our slower moments. I feel like he does a lot of like outside of the box stuff for what those minimalist riffs are telling you to do, and he kind of just does the opposite of that. The Witch Vomit record, Funeral Sanctum, has been like my biggest guitar inspiration this year, though. It's like Matty mentioned earlier, uncompromisingly heavy, but as melodic as possible, like as darkly melodic as possible, without losing the fact that it's death metal.
Exactly,
You know, it's
yeah.
not no fucking metalcore shit. It's still evil. It's still got spikes on it. It's still wrapped in leather, you know?
okay.
Yeah, those are like the big ones for me this year.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. And
Mortal Wound,
Yeah,
Anus of the World.
yeah.
It's like
That's
some
great.
straight up like butchered at birth, like Cannibal Corpse era, like standard fucking death metal riffs. Like
Okay.
That's my shit.
some crawlers. I love a crawler. Like if your fingers are looking like this, then it probably sounds sick as fuck.
I feel like my all-time. What are your like all-timers? Like if I were to say like my two all-time bands that I'm like I would feel like I take the most inspiration from. They've kind of changed since the first EP, which you can kind of hear, but they were probably Undeath is like my number one. They're like my favorite. They're one of my biggest inspirations, and this old super group called Death Breath. They're a band who like no one sounds like, and they made like 2 albums, and then they went away. And I guess they released something recently for the first time in like 15 years or something. But they're like made up of like Entombed and a bunch of other Swedish death metal bands. They just like put out the best death metal record of all time in like 2006. They just fucked off, and that was it. And that is like the most important like death metal record to me in my heart. It's called Stinking Up the Night, and it's it's incredible.
Like those folks in Denver were doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the
exactly.
Denver kids.
I think that was the first one you gave me
Yeah.
when I joined this band.
Which is so funny because it doesn't sound like us. It's like it's like C standard like crunch setting on a 5150, like just like heavy twang Fender ass like guitars. That's crazy. I remember reading in a Reddit comment, someone was like, I kind of wanted this to sound heavier. Or like I like these riffs are cool, but like I don't know, it doesn't feel quite heavy enough. And in the back of my head, I was like, that's what I want to do. I was like, I want to start a band that sounds like this, but like heavy and like lower tuned. Yeah.
Nice.
What about you? It's Cannibal Corpse's one, right?
Yeah, like specifically the like later 90s, mid 2000s or beginning of the 2000s era Cannibal Corpse, like specifically Gallery of Suicide and Bloodthirst. Like the Pat O'Brien and Jack Owen guitar combo, it's fucking crazy. Like they have countless riffs.
Whirlwind riffs.
I love a whirlwind riff. Bestial Hymns of Perversion by Denver's own Of Feather and Bone is huge for me. Like
Talk about big music. Talk about music that's like larger than life. Their recordings are fucking out of this
Fat.
world.
Yeah. You got to peer through the fog. You peer through the curtains a little and you hear like the catchiest riff ever, but it's enshrined in just like absolute slime and chaos.
First time I heard the newest record, I just put on like the first song, and within like 6 seconds, like my teeth were rattling in my skull. Like it's like so dense.
That's what I like. That's my shit.
Pick slides that like make your skin crawl. Annihilation of the Wicked by Nile. And absolutely
Wheedly riffs.
Couple Wheedlies in there, a couple doomy tracks too. But like as far as drumming goes, yeah, like Derek Roddy and George Collius from Nile are like fucking incredible for me, like huge inspiration for me. Like the 1 Foot Blast level of George Collius, I would say, is matched by none.
Yeah, and well, I mean, your 1 Foot Blast is prominent, I would say.
Thanks so much. Similar to George Collius, I default to the 1 foot and bust out the 2 when the situation
when
calls
it's
for it.
necessary. I think that's definitely the right way to do it, because
It's the right way to do it, man.
there's just something that feels way more frantic about a single pedal when you're blasting like super quick. It just feels more like which I like because I'm an anxious fucking guy. So
Well, that's funny. Is like Collin and I both like playing drums. It was kind of very essentially pretty similar music that we were like learning. Like I was also playing a lot of punk rock, so you get a lot of those single foot roll, like we call them banana beats, like which is like I guess essentially the D beat. Like every single No Effect song is a banana beat. Yeah,
with
and
that, those fast
rolls,
doubles.
Yeah,
the fast doubles. Yeah, definitely help get like my right leg up.
yeah, totally.
With that.
I think if you're
Smelly from No Effects, big inspiration.
there, you go.
crazy.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of smells.
That's a recurring theme.
We
for
don't
us.
smell though, which
Aromas.
is funny.
No, you guys smell
Yeah, we're
pretty good.
fairly
You're
clean
hygienic
for
bunch.
Yeah, we showered every single night of tour.
Wow,
Oh, that's
that's
great.
impressive.
Yeah,
We even brushed our teeth.
yeah, we're very clean. we LARP as smelly, but we're actually very clean. What about you, Rhaina? I think I'm going to guess that your go-tos. No, I'm not. Go ahead. Converge, Queens of the Stone Age. I'm also a big Queens of the Stone Age fan.
So surprisingly, this is kind of out of left field, but Deftones is a huge.
gosh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
The Deftones.
Deftones
Oh, yeah.
is a huge one for me.
Nice.
I think the Doom part on Perverse is like all Deftones.
Yeah.
I could hear that.
That's so funny because that's not where I would go at
Same.
all.
Same.
I'd be like, this is like some fucking like some autopsy, like sinister type shit.
That
Black
Like,
reminded me
Sabbath.
of like Old Man Gloom, kind of, or some shit like
Old Man
that.
Gloom.
Yeah.
Talking my language. That's my shit.
dude,
Old
talking
Man
his
Gloom fan.
I
language.
love that shit, dude.
But the Queens of the Stone Age thing honestly blows me away because, like, I don't know, it's just lately it always comes up, like, no matter who we talk to or like what their background is, Josh Homme / Queens of the Stone Age comes up in conversation. Is he the best guitarist of the last 20 years?
I think there's a case
He
to be
could
made
be
for that.
up there at least.
Most
He's at least-
influential.
He's at least like super out of the box, and I think a lot of people find that influential.
That's what I think is
Totally.
funny about Queens is that like I adore them, and Rhaina and I have spent many a drive in the car listening to Queens for long periods of time, and I love them. But I never think of Josh Homme as like a guitar god. I think of him as like a songwriter.
Songwriter.
god.
Yeah, that's,
We
that's
said-
sort of how I feel too.
Yeah.
We
It's-
said the exact thing until we saw Queens last summer at Fiddler's Green.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God,
I've
Josh
been
Homme
a
is...
Queens fan for my entire life and never really put the fact that he is an amazing guitarist along like with the songs. And then when we saw it, we were just like, he
Yeah,
literally
totally.
didn't miss a single fucking note. Like
Yeah.
every song was exactly how he tracked it on the record, pretty much.
Yeah, whenever I listen to them, I'm always like, man, this arrangement is incredible.
It's insane.
Like that's what I'm always thinking about with that kind of shit.
Well, and that's cool too, because like I think one thing that we didn't really talk about in the past or today is just like kind of the unconventionality of your song structures. Like there's not like too much of like repeated sections, or like at least not sections that would go into each other or like segue into each other the way that you'd think.
That is 100% due to collaboration.
If
there
Matty
are
had
some
his way, it
examples-
would be
No, this is not true. Shut up. That's how it used to be. That is how it used to be. I'll tell you, the song structures on Repugnance are way more pop song structures than the new stuff is. However, I surprised myself because Huffing isn't really like that, and Blessing kind of is. Those are the two that I have on the record, but Huffing isn't exactly like that either, and that might just be Colin's influence in the back of my head. But Collin proved to me that you can make an unbelievably catchy song that doesn't follow a verse chorus formula. And obviously I know that from the past. There's plenty of amazing Journey songs or whatever that like have very unconventional song structures. But yeah, I think Collin was the one that like proved it to me that it's like, no, you can totally like instead of just coming back to the same catchy part, you just write 5 really catchy parts. and that's kind of where our direction is, I would say now.
Okay.
I purposefully wrote Macerated with the intent of having not a single repeating part.
So you guys do think about it like when you're structuring songs. It's like when is it appropriate to like repeat sections or have like a chorus, and when is it not? It's okay, cool.
But now I think of it more in terms of, I mean, I write songs by recording them. That's just how I organize. Mm-hmm. So I will do a lot of like sitting and looking at the DAW and being like, what if you put this here? And you're like, no, that doesn't work. What if I put this? So like, I pay a lot of attention to that. And yeah, sometimes it will repeat and it'll be too much or whatever. And we definitely pay a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, just like, I feel like we're all real in tune with how we want to write songs. So it's like, if a part overstays its welcome, or vice versa, I feel like we all kind of pick up on that.
Yeah, which, I mean, again, that's fucking crazy. Like, I've been in a bunch of bands where, like, people just can't necessarily see it, or they're not, like, paying attention to it while the writing process is going on, and so it becomes more of, like, an argument later on, like, during the recording or even just, like, the mixing process. So yeah, I mean, that sounds
awful.
Cool to hear. I mean, honestly, that's how the entire first Foreign Words record was like we decided how we were structuring songs while we were recording them in the studio.
Ugh.
And it was horrible. Like I would never do it again. So yeah, it's cool to see that people actually put thought into it.
By the time we get especially for us, like by the time we get into the studio, we've played every song live like 7 times. Yeah, especially for these last 2. Like we've played those songs to death by the time we got in the studio.
Except for Huffing. That one was still relatively new, I feel like.
That was the most recent one.
You know what? I guess that's true. With Repugnance too, Mold and Stealing Teeth both were written within like the month that we were going to go and record. Like those were 2 songs that like this couple ones that I have right now were just like dead in the water on my computer for a really long period of time. And then they all came together at once, but they all came together at once literally like the month we were going to record. And I was like, I think it's worth it. Let's figure these songs out.
Did you guys have an idea for like how many songs you wanted on the EP before you went into recording, or it was just gonna be like however many
as much as possible?
Okay,
as many as we have.
As much as possible, but also I wanted just 0 fat.
Totally, of course.
Like Relentless is a good release for what it is, but I really wanted to be conscious of like parts like overstaying their welcome and like certain parts carrying more weight than others. Like I really just, me speaking personally, I wanted everything to have as much weight and meaning as possible. Like by eliminating that fat. And I thought that just having 4 tracks that are fucking bangers.
There's almost like no frills to the record either. It's just like, here's a song, here's a song, here's a song, here's a song. There's not too much. I mean, there's like little mini introductions and stuff.
The end of the record, there's the noise interlude at the end. Which we did that on both.
No.
Isn't there a noise interlude?
There's noise, but
after Rain, I think there's noise.
Oh, you're talking about Relentless.
Yeah,
there's noise we definitely ended like with a little noise track,
We like to, we love to do that.
but not on Blessing. It just fades out
No, yeah. Oh, I thought you recorded.
it leaves you satisfied and
What did
finished
you
smoking a
record noise
cigarette
on?
after.
No. What did you record noise on then? Remember, you spent like that whole time sitting down at Trey's recording like just a whole shit ton of noise, and I thought that was at the end of the record. I thought that was at the end of Blessing. I'm like 100% sure that Blessing. You know what's funny? We've like totally like jammed out to the record a bunch, like when it came out, and we were super stoked on it. But we always skipped Blessing, only because it's the oldest song.
You've
And
already
we were sleeping on it.
You already
we were
know it
super
so
tired.
well.
of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
We're pulling. Oh,
Oh my god, you're right.
is it? Yeah.
The fuck? I swear to God.
I
dude.
did record a bunch of noise. I think was that after Macerated going into Perverse maybe?
It's at the end of Perverse.
At the end of Perverse. Yes. A good midway point of
It was like at the end. It was like
and
the
some
end,
feeding
and
back.
like we were like Rhaina and I were packing up, and Collin was like, I just want to get some noise down. The Collin was just like cross-legged on the floor for like 15 minutes, just like dialing shit.
Turning knobs and just like creating sounds is like so like innately like primal, and it scratches just like such a crazy itch in my brain.
I mean, it's raw creation, right? Without having to think too hard. Like you don't have to. You're not self-conscious about like, is this riff good or does this part lead into this part right? Which is the kind of shit that we think about so much. Is like this part I'll just remove a part from a song if I can't get a transition into it correctly. But with noise, you're just like birthing shit from nothing.
there's a freedom
You're
to
just
it.
like.
You just like. I'll just sit there and twist knobs until I'm laughing.
Yeah,
And then if I'm laughing, I know that's probably like a usable section of whatever I was recording.
that's how we write riffs a lot of the time too. Like
Yeah.
we'll bring riffs and be like, one of us would be like giggle and it's like, cool, that's going in the record.
That works.
That
Yeah.
happened on a couple songs.
Nice. So gear-wise, what did y'all use in the studio? Was it just the same setup that y'all use when you're playing live shows? Was there any fun gear that you brought into the studio?
I recorded drums on the Mouth for War drum kit, which is very nice. It's like some sort of DW custom
kit probably.
that the wood patterning on it looks like a watermelon.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
Dude,
beautiful.
it's so gorgeous
so
and it
gorgeous.
sounds
Pull up
so
a picture.
fucking crazy. Like, because Mouth for War is like a band. That's like a real band.
They're like touring with rented gear in Europe, kind of like
tour bus style in Europe, so
Yeah.
they don't fuck around with the drums.
Yeah.
I had like one of those like sub
pattern.
kicks and everything.
Yeah,
I
it's
felt pretty
nasty.
set up.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's really nice.
I remember we were talking.
slightly different cymbal setup.
Yes. I used the Mega Bell, the Zildjian Mega Bell on the first release, because I vividly remember us listening to Stealing Teeth in the
Yeah.
car at Chiba Hut, and I was like, yeah, this Mega Bell smacks. But I really wanted to use all of my own cymbals on this one, and I think the way it just like cut through was perfect. Like just the ZBT starter pack.
Hell yeah.
I've rocked the same cymbals essentially since I started drums in like 7th grade. I mean, they're on borrowed time now.
Yeah, it's only a matter
They're
of
not
time.
on borrowed. They've been exhumed and they're just being beaten on beyond the grave. Beaten beyond the grave. There's a song.
Dude,
Beaten beyond the grave.
Exhumed. If only we were recording this.
No, we have a shared notes
Write that
app.
down, write that
we
down.
have a shared notes app that's just song names like that. And it's just anytime we hear something
I'll just
stupid,
be at work and just think
Yeah.
some crazy ass shit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Queens of the Stone Age, we were talking about how great song titles for Queens are, and
And
I
just
think-
one-liners too.
Yeah, one-liners.
I blow my load over the status quo. Are you kidding me, bro? That's so good. That's so good. He
But-
says it with more attitude and ass ass than anybody has on the planet.
The only people giving Queens run for their money when it comes to song titles is Aleister. I was both EPs get a huge kick out of the titles of all the songs and the names of the EPs themselves.
I mean, yeah,
so kudos.
We
kudos.
actually make them not as silly as they could be.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
I
Those
hit
are actually
the-
watered
I
down.
can sense some restraint to them,
There's a
which
good
I also
middle ground,
respect.
yeah. The artwork on the new EP Chambers of Anguish is also fucking sick. Like
Serious. That was all Colin's doing.
the way that it all packages is super nice and cohesive as well.
Wait till you see the CD that I can
I'm
announce now
fucking
because
stoked.
with that I just finished the packaging for the CD, which will be out eventually soon. Yeah, there's the drop.
Hell yeah! So we made news here today.
Clip this.
As far as gear for me, yeah, it's trays. I mean, I was like, I could have brought all of my own gear, but it's just the same exact stuff that Trey has like in abundance. At
Every
the studio.
every fucker who plays heavy chugging riffs has a 61 of
65, yeah, exactly.
whatever the fuck. A
6505s
5150 and a 6505. Like,
yeah.
you'd be pressed to find a death metal band that doesn't have at least one of those, I feel like.
Yeah,
With a Mesa Boogie cab.
Yep, the
So-
guitars were recorded through a Mesa 2x12 in an isolated room. And the only thing that was unique at all about this recording process for me was that I recorded the entire thing. I have a coil splitter on my Strat, like the ones you pull up. I forget what those are called. But I recorded all of my guitar parts single coil, which I can never, ever do or replicate. And I've tried, and it's just too fucking noisy. Mm-hmm. He's got a super nice noise gate. And it just sounded great. So I think it's all of the rhythm, all of the guitar. I think I'm right channel. All of the guitar in the right channel is a single coil Strat. And then everything on the left is Rhaina's PRS. But the solos swap for some reason.
I like that.
Yeah, I confused. I was telling my dad about that, and he was like, "Wait, I thought you were." And I was like, "I don't know why the guitars are why the solos are opposite." But
Interesting.
yeah, but yeah. And then
What amp did you use? Did you use the same amp, which is a different
Yeah,
setting?
I used the same amp, and I think even the same setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just such
can-
a
Just a different guitar, yeah.
You can get enough of a change from guitars, and not only guitars, but playing style, because these two don't play like similarly at all.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
totally.
Yeah, that's definitely something that it's. You know, it's funny, and I've talked about this before. When we first started, and Rhaina was playing, like we were playing parts together. I thought that I might not like the way that Rhaina's playing was with mine, but then I realized no, it's just I wasn't used to hearing it because it is so different, and now I'm obsessed with it, and like I need it and I crave it like nothing. I need it so bad, and I love playing next to her and hearing her style of guitar against mine. But at first, it was so different from mine that I was like, something's off. But it's like, nah, Rhaina's just like plays way differently than I do.
As someone who observes the guitar work in this band, I think the dynamics are absolutely incredible.
Awesome.
And I think if like you played exactly like Rhaina or you played exactly like Matty, I feel like the band would only be worse for that. And I feel like, it only works
Totally
better that way.
Well, and like the other thing is pretty much right out the gate, at least from like a listener perspective and someone that was watching you guys play shows, like it seemed like the chemistry snapped pretty quickly, like pretty early on, like from the outside in. Like it seemed like you all knew what what purpose you were serving within the group and like why y'all were relevant within the band to begin with. So
I think a lot of that has to do with me and Rhaina having already been in a band together, and the songs, I didn't write songs for Heathen, but the process was the same. Like Rhaina would write a song and then send me the tab and I would learn it. So we just kind of carried that over to Cowboy.
yeah, which definitely helps, makes it a lot easier when you already kind of like know how the other person writes.
The difference is we found an incredible tabbing service.
Okay.
That's the difference.
What do you guys
I
use?
fucking hate using it.
Why? It takes some doing. You used it. You tabbed out all of Macerated in like 30 minutes.
It's so tedious.
It is very tedious.
Yeah.
And
it's
if
called
you
Tabby
and if
Pro.
you make a mistake, then you have to fucking
Yeah, it's a whole
go
it's-
back at every single note.
Yeah.
I definitely get frustrated when I make a mistake using Tabby Pro.
I spend all of the
Tabby Pro.
I spend most of the time that I spend not in this band. I spend video editing, so I have no problem with tedious shit. Like
Spend
I
some
have,
time at the computer.
I have no problem with that.
Well, that's
at
why I
all.
was amazed when you first said you tab stuff out after you write. I was like, wow, that is because I've tabbed stuff out before and hate it as well. It's
I'd rather
very
just write it down on
tedious.
paper, honestly.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, I've done it with paper until you introduced Tabby Pro to me. I think Tabby Pro's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, but I mean, it's not perfect, but it's for me, it's a lot easier than like sitting and explaining it to somebody and then burning all of that time. Where like we could have just learned it on our own and brought it to practice, and then be like, "Am I doing this right?" And then you
Right.
just,
Totally.
it comes together.
I feel like that's mainly it, so we can have as productive and conscious practices as possible and just be
That's
as
great.
efficient with what we want to do as we can.
Yeah, that's cool because I mean, obviously, like for us, we don't have a bassist, so whenever we're trying to teach someone how to play bass, it's like a lot of
What do you mean you don't have a
exactly.
bassist?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a
What do you
borrowed
mean?
bassist. This man's about to be too famous to play bass for Cadzo, but I guess I did kind of want to ask, like, what does the average practice look like for y'all? Because you guys practice more than most bands that I know.
Which is ridiculous. We practice once a week.
That's
like,
a
get
lot.
your shit together. Once
what-
a
we're
week,
on
you
the
guys
once a
can't
week.
get in a room together. Like, come on,
Quit
it's not
playing.
crazy. When the band started, it was twice a week.
That is true.
Yeah.
It was once a week with me and Collin, and then Rhaina would join us for one of those as well. That's how the band. That's probably one of the reasons we were able to fast track and get recorded so quickly.
You
It's 'cause
think?
you know, now that I think about it, now that
I think more
about it-
practice might have helped us out in the long run. Reflecting back.
Yeah, we practice once a week. It's awesome. I mean, I guess it depends on if we have a show coming up or not. Like, if we have a show coming up, then we'll spend more time on like the set. But man, we just run through the set at least once, maybe twice, and then work on the new music outside of that. They're like 2 hours. Nothing
Nice.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like outside of that, we're probably practicing on individually every single day. At least I am.
Maybe too. Yeah.
I try to, you know.
Yeah, I practice in like it's just I always have my guitar next to me, and I'm almost always at my computer all day. Not like so like I'll just like get bored between doing things on the computer, and I'll just like pick up my guitar and then just go into black space for 2 hours and then come out and then repeat that cycle until I
Yeah.
die.
Nice.
So
Well, yeah, guys.
Cool. You got
practice
any?
more. A band should practice. If
Practice
you think once
more.
a week is crazy,
Well,
then you
yeah,
guys gotta
I
practice
think
more.
that's honestly, and this
Well,
is
it's
gonna
hard
sound.
for
Because we're not grind set. We're not. I'm not talking like to you guys. I'm just.
Well, no,
fucking
I
around.
get it. Like
we practice once a week.
Cadzo specifically.
Yeah, and it's not. It's definitely not like a grind set thing. It's just like
Well, but the hard thing about the music scene in general, I don't think it matters where you live, is just finding other people who are committed. Equally committed.
Yeah.
less members, dude. Less members,
Yeah,
less problems.
power
dog.
trios definitely help. Do you guys think you're gonna stay in this power trio configuration?
Not something I think about. If the right bassist comes along, I would consider it.
It's definitely not missing right now. Like
It is.
I didn't miss it when I saw y'all last.
Thank you.
Thought y'all
Thank
were
you.
We do
honestly
a
the
really. We
heaviest you've
work
ever been.
really.
Thank you. That
really
means a
hard.
lot.
We work super hard to make people feel that way. But there's definitely, especially like in some of the new stuff, there's definitely some like dual harmony leads that are going on that are just like neither of us can be providing the low end right now, and that so there's little things like that, and there's ways to work around that. We could get drops or we could get various other things to make it work, but yeah, if the right person, I'm not looking, but if the right person comes along and they've got the right stuff, then
They got the gusto.
I would consider it.
If we cross paths like an Alex Webster
Yeah.
style player,
Yeah, if we meet a bassist who is a bassist by trade and like legitimately wants to be a bass player, that's all that I will accept.
Yeah.
Which is a low bar, by the way. Someone who is committed to
bassist
their
who plays
instrument.
bass.
But like when especially in this type of music, like when the bass player is incredible, you notice it so much more.
Adds a lot.
And like the dude from Undeath, Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse, of course, the dude from Witch Vomit and Torture Rack, like is so good at bass, and like that's such an important thing, especially for this like more busy type of music. Like dude from Dying Fetus, like without that bass playing, I feel like it's kind of tough sometimes, but Matty does a great job at compensating for doing both.
It's not me. It's all the pedal, baby. It's all our pedal configuration.
Buy gear.
Yeah. Not expensive gear either. It's a $30 Amazon pedal and like a $45 ABY, and then all of the cables on the planet.
I'm playing, of course, because some of the best records of all time were written as minimalist as possible.
Yeah, of
with
course.
as few gear as possible. But
Yeah, my pedal board is like by the end of tour, it was horrifying. Like we were only out for like 6 days, and by the last show, it was just like anxiety inducing. Like looking at all of these cables on top.
my fucking 5-pedal noise shit gives me a panic attack every time we gotta play and set that shit up.
I'm so smug over here, only using a tuning pedal for this band.
That's amazing.
You just emanate tone. You just
Yeah.
you just
tone
seep
comes
tone.
naturally.
That PRS, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Definitely the
and that
nicest guitar.
fucking picking hand.
Yeah.
Your guitar is pretty sick, though.
It's sick. It's not nice.
It's sick.
Frankenstrat is pretty powerful.
It does sound really, really big every time I hear it.
This is the first time that the band has ever been recorded talking, so I'm going to tell the story once, and hopefully never. I'm probably going to tell it a lot of times in the future as well, because people ask me about the guitar a lot, and I'll set the record straight. It is a standard scale Squier Frankenstrat that was foisted onto me by someone who just wanted to get rid of it.
Foisted.
Yes.
Foisted.
It was not a gift. It was a
Curb Your
foist.
enthusiasm.
It was my friend Sam being like, hey, so I have, like, Sam was given this guitar, and it was the ugliest, it was ugly as sin. Like, it was, the pick guard was like this awful, I have a picture of it somewhere. It's just like disgusting silver with like swirlies, like psychedelic, almost paisley, awful.
Oof.
And Sam like took certain things off of that guitar and swapped it onto the guitar that they wanted, that they liked, and then put the shit they didn't want off of their original guitar onto that one, and then just gave it to me. and then I said, fuck yeah, free guitar, baby, let's go. And I didn't have an electric guitar. I only had a couple acoustic guitars. I didn't have an electric guitar. And so I I found out, I DM'd Undeath, and I asked them what pickups they use, because they are also using either Strats, or they're using like passive standard scale guitars, and they're running in G sharp standard. So I was like, how are you guys, what's your pickups? And he's like, DiMarzio Tone Zones, like $60. I bought some DiMarzio Tone Zones, put them in there, took it to Music Go Around, had them set it up and drop G. And I get it set up every 8 months or so, and that's all. That's all it is, baby.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It is like a unbelievable. This whole band is like luck and like preparation kind of a deal, where it's like
Victims of circumstance.
yeah, like I lucked into that guitar and then like made the most of it, and like would this band still be? Would I still be really proud of everything this band has done without it? I mean, yeah, totally. But like, it's such a cool thing that I love
100%.
so much, and I'm never going away. Like, yeah, like one day, you know, like when we get like Fender, you know, like sponsorships and all that kind of stuff down the road, you know, and like they're just like throwing free guitars at us and shit. Like, yeah,
The
I'll-
Fender signature
Fender
lines and stuff.
sponsorship
Yeah.
is tight.
yeah, I won't settle for anything less.
ESP.
No.
ESP.
No, yeah. So, yeah. But do ESP be sponsoring motherfuckers?
They be sponsoring, and the funniest part is I feel like they know that, So then people will post like, "Oh, I'm sponsored by ESP," and then they got the LTD, like the set below,
The only I'll
which is
tell you,
incredible.
There's the only guitar. This is a hilarious conversation, by the way. I was talking about sponsorships. The only thing that's second in my like dream list of sponsorships to Fender, because I am Fender ride or die, except for bass, where I'm Music Man ride or die, would be I can never fucking pronounce it. The guitars, those cool looking weird guitars that the guy at Power Trip plays. Is it Bulgara or Bulgara or Beluga or something like that?
No
They
clue.
are so cool. Balaguer. They are. You've seen these before. These guys, like these, like the funny shaped. Like some of them are kind of super stratty, and some of them are.
That just looks like a
weird.
jazz master to me.
That's probably why I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with it. Now that you say that, I either want a Fender or a stylish Fender copy.
adjacent. Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Steve Vai guitars get the handles.
The promo pic holding your guitar is fucking crazy.
It really is.
Man.
I always hated seeing those pictures walking music. So I was
hate
like,
those
that is the cheesiest
It's
shit I've ever
it's
seen.
the dorkiest
Yeah.
fucking. We were laughing at that picture of Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, like all like just like shy of doing everything shy of having sex on camera with their
Yeah.
guitars.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Whenever
I'm
we're
hard.
not practicing, whenever
that's a hot thought.
Yeah.
Two just old men.
lemon party with guitars.
Write that
Oh,
down.
dude.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever we're not practicing and we're at practice, we've been talking a lot of shit about Steve Violet. He keeps coming
It's
up.
about
I don't know
time
why.
someone did.
The Halo 2 soundtrack, man. Steve Vai, thank you for
Did
that.
he do stuff on the Halo 2
all
soundtrack?
those guitar parts
Oh,
on the
I
Halo 2
didn't realize.
soundtrack of Steve
I've
Vai.
never
Okay.
played it.
Respect.
So like the
I didn't even know they
Steve
had
Vai.
an announcer until recently. I found out recently that there's like a guy that says things. Like, is it that or is it Call of Duty? One of those like shooter games has a like kill blah blah blah. Or
That's like
this,
that's like in the game. Like when you play,
Yeah.
okay.
it'll be
the
like
campaign.
vehicular
that
manslaughter.
guy. Yeah, I just recently found out that exists.
You
Yeah.
should start doing some voiceover. That was nice.
Let's do it.
Well, right
Hell
on,
yeah.
guys. Any other than buying more gear? Anything else to plug for the band?
I play Tama drums, Zildjian cymbals.
Anything
other
other than
projects.
trying to get sponsorships?
Yeah, you've got another project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Anything other than trying to get anything but like selling out on our podcast. Like the first time we
Anything
get
that-
in front of mics, we're like, yeah, so we wanted to be on this label and we wanted this gear.
Well,
and-
I'm in it for the money. I don't know about you guys.
as much as podcadzo
I'm in it for
is
the
a vehicle
drugs,
for
I'm in it for
commerce.
the money.
That's why we're only in underground death metal because for the money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'll pay off.
Just keep grinding.
Yeah, talk about your other bands, Colin.
I'm in a band called Yapper that I play guitar in. It's like some circle jerks, like nasty gag type of shit.
I just saw some clips from it. Looked amazing.
Thank
I can't
you.
wait to
It's
see a
fucking
Yapper show.
stupid. I can't believe that Colin's so talented. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
It's pretty stupid,
like
right?
I went to their first show and I was like, God, this is so good. I was like, they're so good already.
Uh-huh.
Damn.
It's a lot of fun. Fisher, who plays drums, is fucking incredible. Probably best drummer in Fort
The
Collins.
nicest dude ever, by the way.
Nicest guy in the world. Matt Dooley from Fort Collins legend. Old Skin and Chain Mace and Violent High, and I could just keep the scariest mosher in Fort Collins probably. And
He's got the best moves. He's got the best moves. His big one is the coin pickup. Like,
Yeah.
that's his big.
He
that's
loves
his big
the, like-
moves.
yeah, the like swinging around the arms around. I'm fortunate to play with Fisher and Matt. I feel like those were two obvious choices for who I wanted to help make the project as good as it can be, and they definitely do that. It's fun playing, like, going from Cowboy and playing like as busy as I can to playing some 0134 riffs on the guitar, dude. Like, and
my favorite thing about seeing Yapper was like, Collin loves noise so much, and seeing Collin in their own element, being able to just go insane with feedback and noise. Because Collin's always like, no, let the feedback out. Like,
I hate dead air.
Because we found a nice balance now where there'll be certain dynamic parts where we'll stop and I'll like cut the feedback because it hits really hard when you come back. But there's a lot of moments where Collin's like, let the feedback out. I want to hear the feedback. And seeing Yapper live and seeing Collin being able to just go batshit to the wall with feedback was so like, I'm so happy that they have a spot now where they can go crazy with
I was like
loud
rubbing
feedback.
the guitar on the amp at one point, just like just banging the fucking strings to the head.
Very proud of you.
Thanks so
awesome.
much. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I play bass in a band called Macho Man. That's all props to Asa from Sanitizers, best punk band in Denver. She's a musical wizard.
Oh yeah.
An absolute wizard. That's like another fast, loud punk band. No Jersey hardcore. No Jersey wearing hardcore for me. It's
What was the fake band that we came up? Fist Kick or Kick Fist or something like.
Kick, face.
It was Fist
Kick.
Yeah, Fist Kick.
Yeah.
That's our fake like Jersey hardcore.
That's our basketball jersey beatdown band.
Yeah.
Fist
But-
Kick.
Jersey beat down.
Yeah. Well, I'm more interested in like a noisy, freaky
Plays a
type of
beautiful
deluxe
punk
band.
telly, by the way. The telly deluxe is just
the mirror finish is kind of crazy.
it's so nice.
I bled all over it at that
Yeah,
first
I think
Yapper
I've-
show, and I
Pretty
did
sure I've
not
only
clean
seen
it
that
off.
guitar with blood on it. I had blood on it before that too.
It has.
Blood frequents that
Yes,
guitar.
yes, yes.
It's that Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein just down picking and less down picking, like you have a gun at your back.
Yeah.
Will shoot you if you play an upstroke.
A single upstroke. Yeah. Cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Rhaina, you have anything?
Godful Heathen.
Oh, yeah. Gone Full Heathen. We just played a show yesterday, and it was a lot of fun.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck yeah. Gone Full Heathen fucking rips. Like,
Oh, thank you.
definitely, I said Aleister Cowboy was the best band in Fort Collins, but Gone Full Heathen is like top 3 in my opinion. Like, yeah, you're in 2 of the best bands in town, so congratulations.
Congratulations.
It's probably got something to do with you, I would assume.
Maybe.
Well, awesome. Thanks
I
so
do
much.
nothing else.
Thanks so much for coming on the pod.
Thanks so much
guys.
for having us.
You're
Yeah.
welcome back literally anytime.
Yes, please
It's
come back.
always
Any
such
of
a
you as
fun time.
individuals or collectively, of course. So,
Yeah,
we
it was
appreciate
super
it.
fun. Thank you for giving us some of your time, and we look forward to doing it again soon, hopefully.
I'm just looking at these two now. I'm like, the Converge episode would be fucking crazy.
The what?
Oh yeah, we could
The
do.
Converge
yeah.
episode.
We could do a Converge
the
episode.
Converge Queens of the Stone Age Deftones episode would be insane.
Ooh,
That'd
we
be
could do
great.
a
Rhaina,
Deftones
Deftones-
episode.
finally have someone to talk about the Deftones.
Deftones
with.
is long
I
overdue
love
for the pod.
Deftones. So
Yeah. All right, right on.
I
Rhaina
just-
needs it.
Every time I hear the word Deftones, I have a vivid memory of Julian untying his hair at the Deftones concert to that song Swerve
City.
and headbanging with such passion that the people behind him were like, what
Bro,
the fuck?
my 10-year-old boy rage came out at that moment. I
It
was like, I
was-
do hate my mom and dad. They don't
It
understand me.
was so incredible.
Every time I hear Deftones, I am suddenly distracted and thinking about something else. I just don't get it at all. I hear them and I'm like, this makes people horny. I don't understand what this is
I can't
going
believe
on.
Deftones fans are having sex.
Yeah,
That's
the
what
crazy
I think
thing.
they're not having sex, but they are horny though. It's a clear
That's the
distinction.
problem.
That
That's-
article from whatever fucking rock publication just came out saying that was like the number one band for people having
Them
sex.
and Rammstein are probably
Really?
tied.
You didn't see that?
No, I try not to read.
You don't
things.
subscribe
that
to
was
Rock
some-
Feed, bro?
Try not to read
Dude.
things that are just gonna blatantly piss me off within like 3 words.
I'm addicted to that.
They
That I
thrive on the
might say
hatred.
that's what keeps me alive. Is reading a Loudwire article about what Corey Taylor thinks of what Chris Barnes said about what
No, well,
the Asides
the
record
only
looks
thing
like.
better than that are the comments on Loudwire and Rock Feed videos. Anytime I feel disconnected from the common man, I go through the comments of any Rock Feed video, and I'm like, yes, there they are. Yep, got it. Yeah, it's pretty grim. But I also love
The
those.
poor state of affairs.
I'm a big fan of that's definitely like some of my trash shit is I'm on I'm on YouTube like way too much, and that's definitely some like I will watch that shit all the time. I love that stuff, even if I don't care. It's like
Popular rock music is pretty abysmal. If it's called just like rock or hard rock,
yeah.
I'm not
on the rock
listening to that shit.
I feel like I love it. I love butt rock. That's another one.
Yeah, butt
we
rock.
didn't talk about that. I love butt rock so much.
Yeah,
Big fan.
That
I'll spin some Shine Down every once in a while.
I think butt rock has a good home here.
Dude, I got
Maybe not Shine
I got
Down.
Sound of Madness on CD. I'll just rip that shit sometimes, dude. That opens with Devour.
I'll
Such
shamelessly
a great
listen to Shine Down.
soundtrack.
I would not mind doing a Shine Down episode.
Dude.
Yeah, I would have to do some serious research.
Yeah.
His voice is incredible.
Yeah,
man.
Maddie's butt rock episode would go crazy.
Might have to just buy me a ball gag for that episode.
Dude, I'll come in wearing leather wrist cuffs and like a chain wallet, and we will talk some fucking. I can get in the weeds about butt rock, dude. I got some killer butt
Leather
rock opinions.
wrist cuffs with spikes on them, though,
No.
changes the
Like-
whole game. That's
like,
what I'm saying. I
agree.
know.
Yeah.
I agree. All you have to add is stuff.
The Jack Sparrow fucking leather wrist cuffs versus like nails coming
Yeah.
out of a leather wrist cuffs are such
Dude,
an important distinction.
it's
I watched
true, there
Pirates
is
of
a-
the Caribbean last night. I'm not kidding.
and
on
butt
DVD.
rock people look like that.
Yeah.
Like Steven Tyler,
Yeah.
Johnny Depp in
Johnny
real
Depp
life.
is the most, but I mean, he thinks he's Keith Richards.
They got the
Yeah.
bandana hanging out the back pocket. They
Spikes,
got
a cheap baggie of spikes or studs is all that separates your band from Exhumed and Theory of a Dead Man. That's it. That's all. That's the only difference.
I have a real quick, not to take up too much time. I was in Oregon this weekend, as I mentioned, for a wedding, and it was in McMinnville, which is wine country,
Okay.
south of Oregon. Very lovely, Pleasantville. The wedding gets out kind of early, so we decided to go to this bar afterwards. It's like a deli/bar. And we walk in, it was like a group of my friends. And, we were wearing wedding attire, so it did look kind of dorky. I had a polo on.
You're looking dapper.
Yeah, it was looking dapper. But we walked in, and it was just locals there. And it was like, a scene from a movie where the music cuts and everyone stopped their conversation, like turned around on us and gave us a death glare. And I walked up behind a guy who was wearing a denim vest with spiky studs out of the entire thing. And he turned back at me and gave me this kind of evil glare. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he acted like a shocked deer and literally looked back at his drink and then looked back at me.
Double take.
And then, stared at me, refusing to talk to me. And I was like, maybe I should go over here and order my drink. And then him and the woman he was with started talking shit about us, loud enough.
So
They were
so
like-
I'm gonna guess they had a Dark Throne back patch, and exclusively it's black metal fan,
There,
right?
yeah,
It had to have been a
No,
black
I
metal
didn't.
fan.
There were several patches. I didn't notice what any of them said, but I didn't end up having a drink there.
I want
out. The vibes were pretty bad.
I want to
Yeah.
picture that vest so bad.
My brain immediately went to like affliction,
Yeah.
like some affliction attire. But
Affliction guys are chads.
I
They're
mean-
socially apt. Like, they're socially capable people. You know what I mean? Like, chads know how to talk to another person without immediately like, ugh. But I feel I feel like that's like a different level of neurodivergence.
He
that only
wanted to
exists
kick the shit out
in
of me.
extreme
too.
metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a rough vibe. Got out of there. But anyways,
I'm glad
just,
you're here to
If you
Yeah,
find
to
any
talk
pictures,
about it.
if you find any
Colin.
pictures, from
I
the
really
wedding,
wish I
would love to see that vest.
I was pretty drunk at the time, so I think to take a picture,
Probably
but
just-
I
Maybe
wish I
your
did.
fault. Do you think you were actually just really drunk?
You should
No,
have said.
because I was being very
You thought
conscious.
you said,
I
"Hey
did.
man, how's it going?" But you're actually just like, "Eh,
And Ace
Amber
and
is the color of your energy.
I would have said, "Hey, princess, that's a really cute vest. Can I take a picture of
where's
that?"
your
Yeah, can I get a
Catzo
picture?
patch?"
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I enjoy black metal, but I feel like it's a rite of passage to shit on black metal fans every once in a while.
Yeah.
We got to put it at the end of the episode. We won't, can't front load the episode with that.
Listen to Stormkeep.
I'm a big fan of depressive, suicidal black metal. It's my favorite.
Listen to Life Lover.
Life Lover. Life Lover, dude.
And
Oh,
Benson's
and
here.
Benson's here now.
And there's
Perfect.
our sign to wrap it up. Thanks, guys. Again,
Thank you
Love
so
you
much
all.
for
Yeah,
having
thanks
us.
for having us.
Long ending.
That's how they mostly go.
That's pretty much exclusively how it goes.
We're just like, black metal guys are assholes.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyways,
that's it.
good night. All right.
All
Peace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.